Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to another episode of KeyThoughts, my weekly musings on the game of KeyForge. You may notice that I do not have it front and center with my face, but I have my decks page open. The reason being is today I wanted to talk about Sealed, as you might have figured out based on the title of this episode. And the reason why I want to talk about Sealed is because we're in a place now where the way we play Sealed has greatly changed since Ghost Galaxy has taken over. And that is mainly because Sealed Alliance seems to be the forefront of how Sealed is played. I know some people feel strongly about this, that they are not a fan. They like the OG Sealed, the original, the classic Sealed. That's what we're going to call it, classic Sealed. And there's many ways that was played. At a store level, it was a single deck most of the time. You open it up and you did the best with what you got and had to figure it out, which is, I think, what people enjoy the most about Sealed. But now we've come to another place with Sealed Alliance, and it's brought a whole new level of complexity to the act of a Sealed tournament. It's bringing a higher cost, and it's also brought a different level of decisions to be made. Before I go any further, though, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, and that is Renewed Life. Our card of the week, not our sponsor, but I just ran with that. So Renewed Life, for those of you who don't know, it's a Sanctum rare that gives you an Ember Pip, and it's an action card, and it says play fully heal a creature, make a token creature for each damage healed this way. Wow, what a powerful card. There's a lot of big creatures here. If you have a Sanctum with armor and whatnot, it may not get actually as high of damage as you would like potentially, but I mean it could be really good with certain cards there. But I think of big 6-powered dinos, 7-powered, even 10-powered dinos. You have also Brobnar creatures, which are quite large as well. Being able to heal key creatures and then create tokens as well is something really special. And depending on the house you have and the combinations of token generation boosts, it could be really powerful. I mean, if you had some legionary trainers, that could be really powerful. Creating a whole bunch ready right off the hop, that is something else. And then if we think about the token that actually is with this deck is a cleric. So this card doesn't just say fully heal a creature and make a token for each damage healed this way. This basically says you are going to be able to get your opponent off of a key potentially, and you have a very strong Ember control with this. So I really like this in the deck that it showed up in, and I really think that it's a strong card, and I can understand why this is rare. This is definitely rare due to the power level, so I'm very excited for that. Now let's get back to Sealed. I just wanted to bring that card because the rare ones are always interesting to talk about in a card feature, usually because you don't see them as often, so you have a greater potential to not know the way it could interact in fun ways. So we just wanted to showcase that because we're going to see the deck that actually came from. That's going to be part of this. So the other day I opened 2 decks. I wanted to open decks, but I also wanted to add, just look at them from a Sealed perspective. And now I wanted to go over that with you as I talk about these thoughts of Sealed. So as I was saying before, Sealed has changed a lot. Now that we're in Alliance, when you have Sealed, let's say this was a 2-deck Sealed, you have all the cards here in this deck that you get to look at and decide, is this the deck I want to play about this? And then you have something else too, which is the token that comes with it. That is a huge thing that I think is super interesting. But in Sealed Alliance, you have the ability to actually change your token based on the decks you have, and that's incredibly interesting because sometimes there's a token I have that I find underwhelming. I don't think it is amazing. Sometimes creating it is something I don't always want to do. Talking to you, Trooper, and you're just left with this interesting way of how everything can come together. I actually really like this deck. I think this is a kind of a fun deck. One thing I don't like about this deck we'll get into is a Spartosaur. Cleric with a Spartosaur does not seem very good, but the way the decks are analyzed and the decisions you make with Alliance, you have that autonomy of choosing things coming together to create something that is not a feels bad. But to be honest, having a deck that doesn't seem great and trying to work your way through how you can make this work. How can it play? And the reason it's not great may be something like, this deck lacks Ember Control. This deck lacks Board Control. It's lacking a statistic that we use to determine the strength of a deck. And having to figure out how to work through a deck, because it's the only option you have, is one of the great aspects of sealed. Now it could just be a bad deck, and you really can't. It doesn't have the things. It doesn't come together easily. It's gonna lose more than it will win. And that's just the way it is. That is a part of sealed, but being put in that position to have to make something work that is not ideal, I think is one of the greatest aspects that sealed has. And now we're in a position where we're no longer flexing that muscle. And now when I say this no longer, I mean from what we've currently seen. The truth is, we're seeing Vault Tours having a sealed alliance opening day, which I think is fun, getting to do that. You're getting 3 decks. That is also fun. Getting more decks is always a fun thing. You also have the fact that you are doing a pre-release tournament in store. Sorry, my mind was thinking of something else for a second there, which gave us also 3 decks, the same 3-deck alliance thing. But the truth is, this is all we're seeing is the very high level GG sanctioned events showing this new way of playing sealed alliance, and it's with 3 decks, which is a lot of fun. I gotta say, 3 decks is the number that I think. It's expensive for 3 decks, but what you get out of it and the ability to build and analyze and tinker is really nice throughout a tournament. I'd prefer a 4-round tournament for the cost price, but if you can't get enough people, then it's usually like a 3-round. But the point is, once we get into the true store OP season, from everything we've seen, this is not going to be the case. This sealed alliance is not going to be the mandatory way we play. We can choose. So formats we haven't played will be allowed. Playing a single deck sealed will be allowed, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a chance that we have a new set by the time that happens, but I would love to play WoW in single deck, because having to make a token work, having to figure out how the deck works, that is something that I'm going to want to do with my locals, even moving forward. While we don't have a proper OP infrastructure, I'm still going to be running events at my store, and as a result, I'm going to be playing single deck sealed as part of it. I want to go back to that cost effective, really fun, using your knowledge and skill of the game to try and make a deck work. I want to go back to that, and it's something I'm going to do. And Vault Tours can be this more extravagant way of playing your KeyForge, and that's cool. That I'm totally fine with that, because the truth is, the fact that we're going to be given more control over our store's decision and formats and things we get to play, I think is fantastic. Because right now, all the decisions and everything we're making, sorry, not decisions, but conclusions we're drawing, are based on what we're seeing in the wild. And the main high level events, those are what's really happening in the wild and has the most focus on and attention. But the truth is, at a store level, that is where KeyForge truly lives, grows, and decides how the future will move forward. So being able to make these decisions for ourselves, getting to play single deck sealed, I think is going to be really exciting, and I don't think it's gone. We're just going to get to enjoy it at the store level, where you are realistically playing the most KeyForge, and you're getting to know your community and all the different aspects that goes along with that. Friendships, camaraderie, rivalries, it all exists there. So don't think of sealed as being gone. It's just evolving on the Vault Tour level, but the truth is, at the store level, where the most KeyForge is played, we'll still get to enjoy it. Now let me go into these decks from a sealed perspective, because that was something I was thinking about. Is when I looked at these 2 decks, I didn't like Saurian based on everything else, and the token was a huge thing, because I like that token, which then makes what doesn't pair with the token. So things like Crushing Charge and Spartosaur instantly go, oh, these don't work the same way. But then things like Market Crash is huge in this deck, because my tokens having Ember on them are not going to be affected, but I can still take care of the board. Having things like Generous Offer to steal 2, this deck, I actually like this deck. I would play this deck in sealed, but from a sealed perspective, if this was Alliance, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'm going to get rid of this Saurian house, because it kind of is counterintuitive to what the other two houses can do. But from a straight up sealed, I'd be like, okay, I have to be cautious of how I'm utilizing this Saurian house, which is a really fun part of it. Is the weaknesses of your deck. It doesn't mean they don't exist because you can just swap it out. It means how I play around it. What's the order? Okay, cool. I haven't really gotten a lot of tokens yet. I can utilize this Saurian, and you know what's a really cool thing about the Saurian house? Aside from Phalanx Leader, there is no token generation in here. So this house on its own plays well, but then when you bring the token generation, it becomes counterproductive. So learning these things is really fun. Now let's go to the other deck. So again, 2 decks making a decision. Then we have this deck here. Double epic poem with a Faust. So that automatically makes you go, okay, wow, that's something I want to look at. 2 symposiums, all things that lead into a great epic poem. And then you get this card here, which is rares always make you, in sealed, I think, you look at your rares because they're fun that you haven't seen before. Each time you exalt a friendly non-token creature, make a token creature. Amazing, love that. Oh wait, my token's a trooper. That alone would make me not consider playing this deck. Because if I'm going to look at, okay, we have Propaganda makes tokens, Vatminder makes tokens. Don't like that. Makes a ton of tokens. Makes a token and enters ready. Then we go over here. Shakedown Sullivan. Just looking at this, 2 uplix makes tokens. Don't care for it. So Gruntwork makes tokens. So these are all things that make me go, wow, the token really hurts this deck. So this deck is almost eliminated for me because I don't really like that token, and the other token is so strong, and the deck plays well. I actually find the Mars here interesting. The Star Alliance with triple friendly guide, I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think this card for me is kind of a dud. I don't think it plays out the way it feels like it would, unfortunately. So it just feels like a dud card to me. And the rest of the house is not that special. This Saurian house is really interesting, but again, the token makes it less interesting. I actually really like the Saurian house. The Mars house is cool, but not great. So the truth is, if I was able to make a decision quite quickly, and the token basically made it so there was already a back foot for this, which is really interesting because in normal sealed, that would never be a thing. Before something like Winds of Exchange existed, you didn't even think about that. So I think the whole sealed decision-making space is going to be really interesting. Like if I was forced to play this, I'd be like, how can I not make tokens? Or how do I use my tokens in a way that they don't survive so that they can't exalt? Things like that. I think it's very interesting the way this set will play in a single deck sealed environment or a classic sealed environment, not an alliance format. So just wanted to go over this really quick. This isn't really the main part, but this is the deck I would definitely choose based on everything. I don't even have to evaluate. I can see this deck is so much stronger. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over 2 decks in a standard sealed or classic sealed, as I called it, manner, rather than the alliance form. But again, Winds of Exchange is very well designed to be a favorable to sealed alliance as opposed to just single alliance. But I am so excited to play this set in regular sealed alliance, and I hope you are all as well. So let me know your thoughts on this, on sealed alliance, and getting to play WoW in a classic sealed manner. So let me know. Please comment, like, subscribe. If you feel kind enough to participate in my Patreon and support me in that way, I'd greatly appreciate it. But hey, as always, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.